Hey mini enthusiasts, how are you doing? Welcome back. This could be part 11, 12, not quite sure. But anyway, the welding is all done. So before we go into the time lapse, I thought I'd show you around the shell what we've done. So we'll roll it over in a moment and have a look. But from on top, obviously it's had this door step here all the way around, and it's had a complete A pillar here, including A panel. Inside the car, top dash rail, and this top dash rail, bottom dash rail, and this whatever it is here, part of the dash rail.
They call it a parcel shelf.
Parcel shelf apparently. That comes separate. Obviously we've got the M machine floors, which is inner sill, outer sill I'll show you in a minute, and it's a third of the floor plan, which goes the whole length of the car, so that fits in quite nicely. This is all welded up on the toe board to the bulkhead, so the bulkhead was brand new.
So it's the toe board.
And the toe board, yep, come in one piece. And then round the front we've got wings, scuttle panel, front panel. There's the bulkhead box, which I explained about an episode or two ago. So that's done now. Round to this side again, wings, and A panel, A post, door step, cross member, third of the floor, inner and outer sills again.
Both the inner wings.
Yes, I forgot about that. Yeah, inner wing near side, inner wing off side. So everything forward of here is brand spanking new. The whole middle of the car is original ERA, I think. And in the boot, we've obviously had the rear corners of the boot where the rear subframe mounts go, because it was all corroded in here, and that's both sides. So that's the top, and then looking underneath, obviously a rear valance, the closing panel sections here. It's had a repair section in on the rear wheel arch, both sides of the closing panels. There's the floor. Heel board is original, I think. Didn't have to replace a heel board, which was good news. And as we go forward, it's all looking good. Now obviously all these welds need cleaning up now, and then Mark's doing the boring job of prepping it all for the stone chip seam sealing on the bottom half of the car, and then we'll start on the top half.
Oh, I can't believe I've done it again. I've just narrated this, spent about 15 minutes narrating it, and realised I didn't hit the record button. Oh dear. That's life, I guess. So, thanks for joining back for this update. Quite an exciting one, this one. So, this is the finish of all the panel work and the metal work. At the end of this episode, we're done. It's finished. It's ready for paint. It's ready for stone chip, under seal, all that sort of thing. So it is a big milestone. I think what I'll do is actually put the last, what we on episode 13. So I'll put the last 13 together. We'll time lapse them all and condense it down. But it's a big milestone to make. Really pleased, actually. It's really good to have got this far. When I think back at the previous restorations we've done, this seems so much easier. We've done kit, we've done bolt in the past, and certainly with bolt, that was the first restoration me and Mark had done together, bare shell restoration. Prior to that, I'd never done a complete bare shell like this before. I've done partial restorations, rolling restorations. I've done repair work all my life, but I've never done a complete bare shell restoration like we did starting out with bolt. So this has kind of been a learning exercise for me as well, but I think we're both pretty confident in what we're doing now. We both understand how each other works, and we work together really well. And I think the builds are a testament to that, actually, without blowing our own trumpets. I was really amazed how kit come out. The finish on that car was phenomenal, and I'm sure the ERA will be up on another level. So we're a little bit behind at the moment. I think we started this build in very late October, early November maybe. Yeah, and just for various reasons, a little bit behind. Just some things have held back, things getting away, family life and that sort of thing. Little mistakes as well. So we had made a couple of mistakes on the ERA. This will be one of them. So the lower dash rail, when we originally got it, we tried to fit it in. It didn't seem the right width, and we thought it was a panel itself, but it wasn't. There's two sort of fixing panels on either end, two mountings. Now I don't know whether they come as part of the A post, but they weren't there anyway, and we couldn't find them anywhere, so we ended up, or Mark ended up making his own in the end. So that lower dash rail is actually narrower than the body of the car between the two A pillars, but there are brackets there to mount it in place. And obviously, like you'd have seen in last week's update, the rear boot floor, we thought that was all finished, but obviously Mark started cleaning back the stone chip at the back there and the under seal, and found some more rust. And it was that sort of rust that, do you know what, you could have probably left and it wouldn't have caused a problem for years to come. It would have been fine for years before that had blown through and made a hole, and possibly a very long time for Mark. His garage is heated, it's temperature controlled, it's always a nice cosy sort of 22 degrees in there. So for storing minis, it is absolutely spot on, actually. They don't corrode in there. Unlike Sprout, in my garage, it's not heated, it's not got no insulation at all. If I grind something down or leave some exposed metal and leave it for a few days, it will start to rust. That's just because of the dampness in the air and the coldness in the garage. But obviously not a problem like that with Mark. So anyway, I'm waffling on. What was I talking about? Yes, going to that level of detail and making sure all the rust is taken out the car. So this is really the definition, I think, of a bare shell rebuild, a nut and bolt rebuild. And when we talk about a car being 100% rust free, I'm always skeptical when I see that in eBay adverts and that sort of thing. They say rust free. Are they really? I think you've got to go to this level to be rust free. As you'd have seen in some of the stuff Mark had taken apart in that rear valance, and was having a chat messaging the previous owner. I think it was 2016 that rear valance had been replaced, so only 3 to 4 years ago, and you saw the rust that had built up between the layers. Unfortunately, with a Mini, and the previous owner used to use this car every day. It was his daily driver, which is quite phenomenal, actually. Looked after the car extremely well, and as you'd have seen by the mileage, 260 odd thousand miles, it was certainly well used. But unfortunately, on UK roads with salt, with the UK climate, with rust, it is going to rust. Mark's just showing us there the fuel tubes. So those are the fuel tubes for the fuel supply and fuel return. So obviously the fuel supply is the larger one of the two, and the return is a smaller. They actually go through the bulkhead cross member at the front, through the actual bulkhead, which is unique for an ERA, because they don't do it like that on an SPI or an MPI Mini. So where you have fuel injection, supply and return, on an injection mini, they run it outside of the bulkhead cross member. I don't know why ERA done it like that. An ERA obviously predates an injection mini, so maybe just the way they chose to do it. If they'd seen an SPR or an MPR mini, they may have chosen to do it separately. Alternatively, it may have been to do with underbonnet temperatures and the turbo being in close proximity to the bulkhead. So when you heat fuel, if it gets to above, I think it's about 50 degrees, but I stand to be corrected on that. If the fuel gets to above 50 degrees, it starts to cavitate, which means it creates air bubbles in the fuel itself. I guess it's oxygen starts being created in the fuel itself. Get air bubbles. Air bubbles in fuel is no good. So I actually suffer with that problem on Vinny. If I do a track day in Vinny and it gets really, really hot under the bonnet when you've been on track for a few hours, if you get the fuel below sort of a quarter a tank, so there's not a huge amount of fuel content in there, the fuel actually gets warm to touch, in fact hot to touch. It starts to cavitate, and that causes the engine to run rough. Obviously what you can do is just add more fuel, because the more fuel in there, the cooler it stays, or you just let it cool down the underbody temperatures a bit. But like I say, not sure why ERA done it like that. I think it might have been something to do with fuel cavitation, or it was just the best way they found to do it at the time. I'm not sure. So this is kind of the final part of the back here now. We're just doing these rear quarters, and that will be it for the welding. As you'd have seen, looking towards the front of the car, you can see some bits in red, or it looks like a sort of burgundy colour. Looks like red oxide primer, and that's obviously just where the floor pan's been repaired in the past before. So I hope I didn't scare you at the beginning with the flames, but I'll explain a little bit more now. So obviously Mark's cleaning up the boot floor there, I'm welding, and Mark starts cleaning it up with brake cleaner, and the inevitable happens. I really wasn't sure whether to leave that clip in or take it out, but I want these videos to be honest. Yeah, and that's why I left the clip in. I was going to take it out because I'm sure there'll be some people that will give it a thumbs down and they'll say how dangerous it was and everything like that. Yeah, it was a silly thing to do, but I want to include our mistakes in these videos and keep them true. You'd have seen me actually laughing. I had a big smile on my face, a cheeky grin, because I knew exactly what happened. I was under the welding mask. I couldn't see a thing. You know, it's black as anything under the welding mask. I could feel the heat though. I kind of knew what Mark's doing, and I just laughed. I thought it was quite funny. And do you know what? I know it's a bare shell. There's no fuel tank in it. All the under sealers scraped off. There's nothing to catch fire really, apart from the fumes and the solvent from the brake cleaner. So, you know, I was laughing because I knew it was safe. I think Mark's reaction was quite... I think that's what made me laugh. It caught Mark by surprise. But like I say, I kind of knew exactly, as soon as I felt the heat, I knew what had happened. But like I say, it's a bare shell. There's metal only, so there's not much to catch fire. So, but that aside, health and safety first. Yeah, lesson learned. You shouldn't do that. And I'd like to say it's the first time it's ever happened, but it hasn't. I've been cleaning stuff up with brake cleaner before, and an odd spark will come off an angle grinder or something like that, and it catches fire. So yeah, you know, don't do it. Don't do what I do. Don't try this at home, kids. yeah, and like I say, don't give it a thumbs down. Appreciate your thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, please consider subscribing. Really do appreciate it. And I just want to say a massive thank you for everyone that leaves a comment. Really do appreciate it. It really, you know, read them all. Thanks very much. We're just drawing to an end now, so I just put up some photos that Mark took. So this is a floor. So when we're talking about a bare shell rebuild, this is properly a bare shell, back to bare metal, all the under sealer off, all the seam sealer off, back to shiny bare metal. And that, you know, if you want peace of mind, that is it there. You know, is there any rust in that? Absolutely not. And just a final photo there. So there, all the panels. So that's a kit build ER8. If you want to come and collect it, needs a slight bit of assembly, it's all yours.